Okay, so good morning, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving week. And this is it's technically well, it's week 6, but it's kind of it's the 5th call. So I don't know what we're going to call it, but it's week 6. But so technically we're going to go till week 9, I guess, because we've got 8 weeks. But this is going to be part 2 of the building belief. I think this is going to end up being a longer class than 8 weeks because I've been like stretching these calls into 2 parts. I realized the first time around I went so fast through some things that I wanted to actually sort of slow down. And so that's what's happening. So we started 2 weeks ago with the first building belief call. And just the idea as leaders that this is going to be a constant process, that building the belief in yourself and your abilities and your ability to do this business is going to be a constant and continual process as you grow, because your business never stays the same. Unless you never sponsor somebody and you always just do like one party a week and you just, but even in that, you're going to come across different types of hostesses and customers, and you're going to have challenges, and you're going to, even if you try to avoid personal growth, it's going to happen to you. But it's especially going to happen when you start to grow into leadership and you start to sponsor people and you're leading a team. Whether your team is 1 person or 1,000 people, there's going to be things that come up and challenges that that if you're not set in your belief and working on your own sense of commitment and passion and inspiration and belief that you can do it, then it becomes really hard to help encourage others that they can do it. And that's really what being a leader is all about. So putting on that oxygen mask first, making sure that you are good and building your foundation of belief, then you can start to put that mask on other people and help them grow. So last time we talked a little bit about putting conditional commitments on our business, saying things like, oh, I'll give it my best shot, or, I'll do it if I can find the right hostesses or the right people, or, I'll do it when I'm ready, kind of thing, kind of putting, and so many people do this. They join as compassionate entrepreneurs, but there's a condition to it. And I think that that's a human nature kind of thing. It's a protective measure. Like, you don't want to fail. So you're like, you almost put this, like, it's like putting a governor on a car, like you can't drive too fast, and you're going to blame the governor for, keeping your speed down, because you almost set that limitation before you even start the journey, before you even get in the car and start driving. You've put a limitation on yourself by saying, well, I'll see what happens. I'll give it a shot. Even that really simple statement puts a limitation on your business and on yourself. I talked about self-sabotage, which is a constant companion for all of us, but that a lot of women overestimate the challenge and also underestimate themselves. So it's not as hard as you make it out to be. Booking, selling, sponsoring, continuing education. I mean, that's our business. Lawson's here with me. But also, you are more equipped and able than you think you are. I don't think I've ever talked to a potential CE or a new compassionate entrepreneur and have them say to me, I'm amazing at sales. Like, I've never had anybody ever say that to me. Nobody. And I'm still waiting for the day that somebody's like, hey, I'm a rock star when it comes to sales. Like, I think about my husband's job and like, are you a rock star at sales? Awesome.
I am.
Thank you.
And
you're the first. Nobody's ever
said that to Sarah when I joined. I said, I can sell anything to anybody.
Amen. You're the one. But nobody else ever says that. And I think about like my husband's business, and he's like in sales, and nobody would go into an interview with him and say, I'm really not a salesperson. Like, nobody would ever say that. Like, if anything, they're going to go in and be like, I can sell ice to Eskimos, and not be ashamed of that or embarrassed by that. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, women come into a direct selling company and feel like they have to make excuses for their ability to sell. And it's like, no, like, you can actually do that. So people I see that all the time. So Nicole, I'm super glad that you know that you can sell, because that's awesome. And you can help other people believe that that's not a bad thing to say. It's actually how we achieve our mission and expand the marketplace for the artisans, is by being good at selling their products. Call it what you want, storytelling, whatever. you're telling a story, you're selling a bracelet. Like, you're still selling something, whether or not you think you are. But I think that we need to remember that everything that we need to succeed is already written into our DNA. And that our job as compassionate entrepreneurs is just to strengthen the natural abilities that are already within us, and then eliminate the self-defeating beliefs. In church last Sunday, our pastor, now I can't remember I'm Catholic, so I'm terrible with like naming the actual like scripture, but it's the parable about the talents. And, the master gives 5 talents to one servant, and 3 to another, and 1 to another. And the one that gets 1 like goes and buries it, and then the other 2 take their talents out and double them. And that when they come to the end of the day and give their master what they were able to do with what they were given, their master says, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." And that's the ultimate, as a Christian, you want to enter the gates and have God tell you, "Well done, my good and faithful servant," because you took what I gave you and you multiplied it. And whether it was 1 talent, 3 talents, 5 talents, whatever God's gifted you with, you have enough within you to go out and multiply it and strengthen those natural abilities. Every single person has something within them that they are good at. And then we all have things that we can hone, and then maybe we got a little bit less than the 5 talents in, but we can still hone that and recognize it as a gift and know that we're already enough. We have it all. It's just our job to strengthen those skills and strengthen those weaknesses as well. And I think that's incredibly empowering. And when you let go of the comparison and the jealousy and the self-sabotaging, and you push that down and allow yourself to strengthen the talents that you already have, you can really become unstoppable. And I don't care who you are, where you are, what your giftings are, you can be successful when you approach it in that way. I talked about, the self-sabotage and the thoughts in your head that are holding you back, that when you open the door for what did I say? If you're looking for excuses, you'll find them everywhere. You've got to eliminate that self-talk that's holding you back. And I really believe that you can create your own reality, that you can set self-fulfilling prophecies that are either really good or really bad. You can walk into a party and tell yourself, I think this is not going to be a good party. And sure enough, it's probably not going to be a great party. Or you can walk into a party and tell your hostess, "Hey, I'm going to book 5 parties today from this party," and say it out loud. Tell everybody at the party, "Hey, I'm not leaving today till I book 5 parties." And you'll be amazed how things like that will suddenly become true, because you put that self-fulfilling prophecy out into the world that was positive, and you shared it and you believed it, and then lo and behold, you walk out with those 5 bookings, or you walk out with 4, or you walk out with 3, but it's still because you set that momentum and that idea in that positive direction. It's amazing what can actually come to fruition. And really, it's not about like a miracle or magic. It's because you believed it, and that drove your actions and your energy and everything that you put out to achieving and making that goal a reality. And I think that it all boils down to, and I've talked about this before, that determination, discipline, and drive. That when you get to a point where you make those your core actions within your business, determination, discipline, and drive, it really sets apart the doers from the dreamers. And you want to be a doer, and you have to be a doer. I mean, I've said this from very, very early on in our business. It's not enough to fall in love with the mission. It's not enough to love the artisans. It's not enough to cry over Miss Florence's video. You have to be a doer in this business to actually achieve the mission that we are trying to achieve. And that takes determination, discipline, and drive. And it takes work. Enthusiasm isn't enough. And this is from, a direct selling book. So it's true for whatever you're trying to sell. But for us, there's even a higher level of importance, because we're talking about helping people. And so you don't want to just be enthusiastic or emotional about our mission. You want to actually do something about it. You want to do that work. that's involved, and be determined, be disciplined, and have that drive as the qualities that are driving your business. So one of the most important things as a leader and as you're growing your business is to recognize what your most precious resource is. And the most precious resource you have, the only thing that we all have the exact amount of, is time. And so, first of all, being here on this call, I'm very thankful that either you're here live or you're listening and watching the recording, that you are giving me a portion of your most precious resource. And I try to honor that by keeping these calls to 20 to 30 minutes, giving you nuggets of things that you can then take away and implement and grow from. But, I appreciate you investing your most precious resource into this class. But a lot of women, and I hear it all the time, struggle with time management. And you go through an entire day, whether it's Trades of Hope or just like life, and you feel like you did stuff all day, but you can't figure out why you still feel behind, or you still feel like you didn't get anything done. And I think a lot of us can fill our days with busy work. In our business, one of the biggest time monsters is social media. And so there's a couple of key things, and these are more just practical things that I do to kind of help protect that time, because the more you grow as a leader, the more precious your time becomes, and the more important it is to be protective of your time and use your time wisely. So something that I do to make sure that I'm using my time wisely is a Sunday night preparation for the week ahead. And I've shared about my calendar before, but I use the Day Designer calendar. And I really, really believe that if you sit down for 10 minutes on Sunday night before you go to bed and look at your week ahead and have a good picture of, when you've got meetings, when you've got parties, when you've got kid stuff, when you've got a doctor's appointment, just getting that snapshot of your week, doing your to-do list for Monday morning, making sure, and even sometimes on Sunday night, if there's something I see I can do real quick before I go to bed, just to get it off my list for Monday, I'll go ahead and do that. But that Sunday night preparation, giving you a clear picture of where you're going that following week, is a tremendously powerful exercise for protecting your time. And a lot of leaders do it. Once you get into the habit of it, it almost, you can't go to bed on Sunday without it. And I just can't say enough of how important it is to do that Sunday night prep of getting your week in your mind, getting your to-do list for each day even mapped out so that you know where you're going. And it's incredibly powerful and helps protect your time and helps you not waste your time. Because you certainly don't want to get Monday morning going and you're like already behind because you don't know, you're like, what's going on today? What do I need to do? Because if you do it on Sunday night, then you wake up Monday morning ready to jump into that. Something else that's become a really powerful thing for me and that sticks in my head all the time, and even when I have a to-do list, I can mentally remember this and tackle it, is the eat your frog first. Some of you are probably familiar with it. You've probably heard me say it before, but it's a Mark Twain quote: eat a live frog first thing in the morning and nothing worse will happen the rest of the day. But the idea of everybody's got a frog on their to-do list, and your frog is like the thing that you don't want to do, and it's the thing that you tend to put down and down and down on your to-do list. You do all the easy things or all the fun things first, and then the frog inevitably gets pushed to the next day, and then the next day, and then you can get through a whole week and realize that you haven't done whatever this frog thing is. Now, our business is simple. So your to-do list for your Trades of Hope business is probably going to involve booking calls, hostess coaching, sponsoring, follow-up, that kind of thing, and a little bit of personal growth and learning. Book, sell, sponsor, continuing education. That's what we do. So your to-do list is going to involve those things throughout your week. Well, what's your frog for your business? Is it sponsoring? Is it is it booking calls, which if that's your frog, then that you're probably having a hard time with your business right now because you don't have parties. If you don't have parties, you don't have a business. So you gotta, if you're struggling there, then you gotta eat your frog. It's just, it goes back to that determination, discipline, and drive. It's not enough to just be excited about it. You have to actually do the work. And sometimes the work is not your favorite thing to do. You know, we are jacks of all trades for this business because we do everything. We are doing that. We're the sales staff. We're the receptionist. We're the administration. We're literally everything for our business. And there are going to be elements of it that you're not great at and that you don't love doing. Well, it doesn't mean that you should quit. It just means you need to recognize that this is something that I don't love doing, or I feel like I'm not great at. So you need to practice it more, and you need to push yourself to eat that frog first, and whatever it is. For a lot of people, it's picking up the phone for a booking call or for a follow-up. So maybe start small. Start with a simple goal, like making 3 phone calls a day, to get yourself into, to do a manageable amount of frog eating, each day, to kind of, because I'll tell you that the more you do it, the easier it gets. Something else that really helps me stay balanced in my business is making sure that I've got a party a week. Because when I'm engaged with a party, I feel like that's like the happy place for my business, because it's the place where I get to do the thing that I love the most, which is talk about the artisans and get people excited about their products. And so when I have a party a week, I stay in the zone with my business. I also keep my business healthy because I'm booking more parties from that party. I'm selling products. I'm sponsoring because I'm meeting women. Usually hostesses, and a lot of hostesses end up being compassionate entrepreneurs. So it's just a natural way to use your time really wisely, investing in your business by doing a party once a week. That's the best use of your time with your business. And then also it keeps your business moving and flowing. Something else that I do that has been tremendously helpful in protecting my time is getting up early. And right now I'm getting up at 6 o'clock, but when I get up at 5:30 consistently and spend that 30 minutes, 45 minutes in the morning, and it could be nothing related to Trades of Hope. It's just time to have a cup of coffee, to do my devotional. Barrett said to me, my older son, the other day, he was like, "Mom, you've been really grouchy and this week," and he loves to point out like my emotions. But he's like, "You haven't been reading your book enough." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Your book in the morning," because he always comes in when I'm doing my devotional, and he always sees me sitting there with my book and my pen. And he hasn't seen me in there, and he hasn't seen me sitting there doing that probably the last 2 weeks. I've been really bad about getting up at 5:30. And he's like, "Mom, you haven't been reading your book. You've been really grouchy." And I'm like, "You know what, son? You're absolutely right." So I need to rein that back in. From the mouth of babes comes, the greatest truth. So thank you, 8-year-old son, for pointing out that Mom needs to be more disciplined again. But everybody falls out of those disciplines and habits once in a while. But I need to get back to that. I need to get back to that 5:30 wake up and sitting and having that quiet time and getting myself set mentally and emotionally for my day. Another thing that I see happen to a lot of women in this business, especially leaders, is again that black hole of social media. And so if that's an issue area for you, if you find like you get your 2-hour block of office hours and you get to the end of it and all you've done is post and read Facebook stuff, you need to rein that in. So delete the app from your phone. Put the groups app on your phone so you're only able to check groups, and designate a time. Like just give yourself, okay, 1 hour a day I'm going to give to social media, and don't go outside of that. Multitasking, like if you're listening to this call on a recording, then maybe you're driving, maybe you're exercising, maybe you're making dinner. There are things that you can do and still be able to focus on a training call, on a Monday morning wake up call, to where you're using your time wisely. something else, if you haven't read The Best Yes, that's one of, have you read that, Nicole? Have you read The Best Yes? No? Okay, so it's by Lisa TerKeurst, and I did it as a Bible study a couple years ago. But it's basically about, it's like the art of learning to say yes and no, and through like wisdom and discerning God's voice on your life. But I feel like the whole world needs a lesson on saying yes and no. You know, doing this business has taught me so much about human nature, but one of the biggest, so when I first started, it was the glorification of busy that used to bother me a lot. Like, why is everybody talking about being busy? Like, everybody's busy. Like, why is that such like a great thing that we talk about? And it's not great. It just is, you know, stop talking about it. But now I'm to the point, like, I'm kind of, the glorification of busy is actually kind of like dissipated a little bit. I try not to use the B word, and my friend group doesn't really talk about it because it's just sort of like, you know, well, no, duh, you're busy. Of course you're busy. So nobody really talks about it. But now it's that inability to say yes or no. And we see it with our hostesses, like they string you along, and I eventually just send them a message and say, like, I feel like a crazy person because I keep asking you. So please just let me know, yes or no, if you would like to do a party. A lot of times they're like, yes, I totally would. I'm sorry, you know. Or they'll say, you know what, you're right. I'm really sorry. I have to say no for now. You know, call me in 3 months. But I feel like people forget like that no is a complete sentence. That it's okay to say no, and it's also okay to say yes if there's something that you really want to do. But then recognize that in saying yes, you're saying no to something else, and that's okay too. Like, you have, like, as women and as people, we just have to give ourselves, you know, the ability, without guilt, without embarrassment, without excuses, to just choose our own path and you know, be able to say yes or no. Give yourself time to make the decision, and then don't worry about letting people down. You know, I feel like I'm getting so much better at really processing, getting all the information, and then confidently deciding whether or not I want to do something, and being okay with saying no. You know, my friend group laughs because they know, like, I'm only gonna volunteer for the things that I really want to do, and I'm not, you know, if I get asked to do something, I'm not afraid to say no, you know, and in whether it's church, school, whatever, like, I don't feel guilty. I choose the things that I want to do, and you know, my family comes first, and I honor that time, and I build the rest of my life out from that. And it's such a wonderful place to be. And if that's a struggle that you have, I just encourage you to read The Best Yes. It's amazing. And then, you know, start practicing that, you know, giving yourself the time to make a decision without guilt or embarrassment. Gosh, we're going to have to go into like part 3 of this, because time is such an important topic. I do think then, so just the final thought on time is the thing that has saved me and made me able to do this business for almost 5 years is the daily disciplines, small things done with great love every single day. That when you touch your business every single day, and some days it's 15 minutes, some days it's 2 hours, but you touch your business and stay engaged with that. And having a party a week ties right into that, because you stay engaged with your business when you have a party a week. That you will never feel burdened or overwhelmed by your business. And it's the greatest lesson that I have learned, and probably one of the greatest keys to the success that I've had and the enjoyment that I've had of my business. To say that I truly love it every single day is pretty truthful. I mean, once in a while there's a day that I'm like, oh. But you know, to say that the majority of my days are joyful and that I enjoy the work that I do with my business, I think a lot of that stems to the fact that I touch my business every day. I don't let it fade. I don't let it die. I stay engaged with it. I keep my mojo strong. When I feel myself being kind of uninspired or being frustrated, I do something about it. So I'm proactive in my business and in my emotional health with my business. And I think that that's made a tremendous difference. And I'm protective of my time. And that is part of it's all still tied to the idea of belief, because when you believe that you are enough, that you are good at what you're doing, that you're called to do this, that you have everything within you to be successful, then you will then honor your time as your most valuable resource and how you invest it in your business. And you'll give yourself grace when it's needed, gentleness when it's needed, the ability to say yes and no without guilt or embarrassment when it's needed. And then the discipline to do that Sunday planning, to get up a little bit early, to, touch your business every day. And then you can pass that on to other people, which is what you do as a leader, is you learn and then you go teach somebody else about it. And it's what I get to do all the time, which is really, really fun. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. Still have a little bit more to talk about time. So we'll continue on with that next week. And then the next topic is sharing your story and sponsorship, which will be a fun one to get into. So we're not going to miss, we'll be back on normal next week because there's no holiday or anything. So this course was scheduled to end on the 5th, but it'll probably go until the 12th of December just because we lost a week because of my kitchen. But such is life. So grace and gentleness, and I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you guys for being here today.